Good evening, everyone. It is Monday, November the 18th, 2019. It is currently 7:13 p.m. Central Time, and this is a live broadcast for the Spreaker app. For those who will hear a recording of this live broadcast that will be posted everywhere, okay, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Oh, you just name the location. These live broadcasts are obviously recorded, and if I can talk right tonight, they are recorded and posted all over the place. So wherever you may hear this, if you would like to be able to hear us when we're actually live and to be able to keep up with all of our podcasts, it may be easier for you to go to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and, well, look for Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker. Download the app. Once you download the app, do a search for VBC, which stands for Victory Baptist Church. VBC, you should be able to find us. If you have any problems locating us, finding us, anything along those lines, email me at newsif@yahoo.com. newsif@yahoo.com. Say, I need help. I'll send you links. I'll do everything I can to help you. That's where you can keep up and download all the things that we work so hard to produce and upload, and well, trying to give you things to think about, challenge you, try to provide you some spiritual food. And we talk about a lot of different things. This morning, in fact, around 7-something this morning, we were talking about Kanye West and the message, the speech he gave at Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen's church. We talked about that. I played his entire speech. That message is available. And now, that was around 7 a.m. Now around 7 p.m., we are back with another live broadcast, and we're gonna change the subject matter. We're gonna turn the corner. Now, I know there's some other things I need to be working on. We need to continue our series on more of Jesus and less of me. And I literally had my notes ready, had the iPad in my hand, ready to hit the go live button. And then I got a notification on my iPad, because I have notifications set up for all kinds of news organizations, keeping up with what's going on in our world. And I saw an interesting headline. Here was the headline. No one believes anything. Voters worn out by a fog of political news. Now, the part that struck me at first was no one believes anything. No one believes anything. Now, that may be a little hyperbole, because clearly there's plenty of people who believe a lot of things, right? There are people who watch Fox News and they believe pretty much everything they hear as if it's some kind of gospel truth or fact. And there's people who watch CNN or MSNBC and they believe whatever they hear there to be gospel fact. But there are plenty of people somewhere in the middle who I think are becoming more and more skeptical, and they don't believe anything. And again, this is talking about voters being worn out by a fog of political news. There is a feeling now by many people, what can I trust? Let me read a little bit of this article. I'm just going to use this article as just a launching pad to a broader topic. And I hope that this will be beneficial. I hope this will be beneficial. Here's how the story reads. Again, headline, no one believes anything. Voters worn out by a fog of political news. This comes to us from the New York Times, and it was posted today. I think around 12 or 1 p.m., I think. And then for some reason, I got the notification this evening. All right, here is how the article reads. In upstate New York, Travis Trudell got an alert on his phone Wednesday morning telling him the impeachment hearings had started. He turned on Disney Plus instead. In Wisconsin, Jer Corrigan never considered watching. She spent the day giving a math lesson to third graders. In Idaho, Russell Memory worked a busy day as a computer programmer and figured he'd catch up in a few weeks when the hearings were over. The Democrats in Congress took their case against President Trump to the public last week, but after hours of testimony, thousands of news reports, and days of streaming headlines, one thing was clear. A lot of Americans weren't listening. All right, so according to this article, a lot of Americans were not listening to all of this stuff about the impeachment. A lot of Americans were not watching. They were not paying attention. They were watching Disney Plus. I mean, Disney Plus has been nothing but an amazing success. I think they 10 million subscribers, some crazy number for Disney Plus. So a lot of people were just tuning into that. Now, this could be the case. Now, let's try to be fair here. I offer some of my own commentary to the news here, because I want to be fair, because I'm going to be using this to make a point, but I want to be accurate as I can. We do live in a day and age where everything from the NFL to the NBA to NASCAR, you name it, ratings are down for everything. And the reason why is there's 8 billion things to choose from to what to watch. I mean, here's the news. I don't want to watch the news today. I'm going to watch Disney Plus. I don't want to watch Disney Plus. I'll watch Netflix. I don't want to watch Netflix. I'll watch, and you can go from streaming service to streaming service. You got this channel. You get a million options. And when you have a million options, people are not bound to watch one thing. They can just go from thing to thing to thing. They've got so many choices, and that's the way it works. So maybe a lot of people weren't tuning in just because they have 12 bazillion other options. I think that's fair. But let's follow the thesis of this article and see where they're going to go with this. So according to them, one thing was clear is a lot of Americans were not watching. A lot of Americans were not watching. And for whatever reason, a lot of Americans were not watching. And again, I think there's a lot of ways of looking at it, but that's fine. At least we'll kind of go with where their thesis. We'll go with their thesis, and then we'll offer some critique. But I just wanted to at least give a possible reason why some people weren't watching. They've got one reason in mind. I just want to make sure we're fair here. Okay, so all right. So a lot of people weren't listening. They continue. It's harder now. They want to grab you with those headlines, said Miss Corrigan on Wednesday night from her home in it looks like Wisconsin. Trump did this. Trump did that. You have to go in and really research it, and I don't think a lot of people do that. All right? Now, they're giving kind of the idea that the reason some people are not watching is because they don't. That's almost being implied here that the reason some people aren't watching is because they don't really trust the headlines. Like, there's all these headlines and you don't really know what's true, and you got to go do all the research, and a lot of people aren't going to do the research, so therefore some people aren't going to watch. That's kind of the implication they're going with, all right? And that may be somewhat true, but let's continue to see what they have to say here. She added of the hearing, I just don't know what to think. You would have to know the facts, and I don't know that I'm getting the facts from the media right now. Now, that's a major statement. I just don't know what to think. You would have to know the facts, and I don't know that I'm getting the facts from the media right now. Well, that's a big statement. Here's someone who did not tune in, and they are implying that the reason they did not tune in fact, I think they're doing more implying, they're being pretty explicit, is I don't know what to think. And if I do watch all of this coverage, I'm going to have to go do my own research to even figure it out. And you know what? I don't think I'm getting the facts from the media right now. I don't think the media is a source of facts. I don't think the media is the source of accurate information. I don't believe they are. So why pay attention to them and watch? This is a very good question. The article continues. In this volatile political moment, information, it would seem, has never been more crucial. The country is in the midst of an impeachment proceeding against a president for the third time in modern history. A high-stakes election is less than a year away. But just when information is needed, needed most, to many Americans, it feels most elusive. The rise of social media, the proliferation of information online, including news designed to deceive, and a flood of partisan news are leading to a general exhaustion with news itself. Now, this, and I could read a lot more from this article, but I want to use this for a different idea. So let's just go with their theory. Let's go with what they are claiming, and let's build on it to hopefully provide you something to really think about, okay? Now, they're making an argument that no one believes anything anymore. All right? And what has happened is, with all the information out there and with the news, and a lot of partisan news, news agencies that definitely have an agenda, definitely have a certain bent, they have a certain team that they're going for. In the midst of all of this, people find themselves in a fog. They don't know what to believe. They hear this, they hear that. They don't know what to believe. They don't know what the facts are. They don't feel like that they can find the facts. They don't know who they can trust. And they've just become exhausted, and they're just tuning out. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what to believe. I can't trust anyone. Forget it. I'm just going to I'll watch Disney Plus. I'll watch Netflix. I'm just going to go do something else. Now, this is a dangerous thing from a societal standpoint, because you don't want people tuning out. You want people to be obviously informed and care about what's going on. But when you don't feel like you can trust anything, because all you think you're doing is hearing people supporting their team, and the one team that's not being supported is truth and facts, well, then what else can you do? Okay, well, I've got to watch an hour of news, and then after I watch an hour of news, I got to go do 2 hours of research to determine if what the news told me was accurate or true, or did they twist, or did they bend the news to fit their narrative, or were they giving me a narrative? You don't even know what to trust. And I believe, and again, the headline said no one believes anything. I think there are plenty who do, but I think this is a growing problem. I think this is a growing problem. So here is the perspective I want to offer tonight. All right? And we could look at it. We could talk about the media. We could talk about the news. We could offer critique of the news and the media. We could do that. But that's not the way I want to handle this tonight. When I saw that headline, no one believes anything, right? In fact, I'll go back and read the headline again. I want to make sure I'm accurate with it. No one believes anything. Voters worn out by a fog of political news. And when I hear that they don't know what to believe and all those things, this is what I started thinking. Okay, America has a growing skepticism and doubt about finding the truth and getting facts from the media. They don't know what to believe when it comes to politics. They don't necessarily trust politicians. They believe politicians lie. They believe the media, in many cases, have a political agenda more than a truth agenda. So there's these major institutions, the media, politicians, that now are no longer considered trustworthy. They seem that they will manipulate facts for their own purpose. And so people are tuning them out. Now, here is my question. And this is obviously specifically from a Christian perspective and from the perspective of the Christian church. Do you believe that the church is seen as an institution that will speak the truth? Like if you're in a world, in a fog, and you don't know where the truth is, the one place you know you can go to hear truth is the church. Does Christianity has the reputation of giving truth, of speaking truth? Or does Christianity look like, in a sense, kind of a political battle, and you have all these different groups and all these different parties, all claiming to have the truth, but taking facts and bending them to fit their narrative, their theological system? Is it about truth, or is it about my team? Is it about truth, or is it about, here's my side? Okay, I hold to this systematic theology or this school of theology, and so I'm going to take all Bible verses and make them fit my school of theology, even if probably an accurate, fair presentation may call into question your system of theology. If the people can't find the truth in the media, can't find truth in politics, I would hope that we could say, walk into a church and we will present you truth. Now, yes, we understand that when you get into the realm of religion, that there are certain things that will be very difficult to prove, but we can at least be a place where they feel that we are willing to be honest and accurate and factual and truthful. Now, I have called the Christianity into great question, and I've called Christianity into question many times over the years, all right? And here's the reason why. I have found countless times in my Christian life, the church would be ones buying into absolutely fraudulent information and then promoting it from the pulpit. Promoting information that was absolutely fraudulent. I remember when I moved here to Texas and we were looking for a church. We went to a church on a Sunday night, and at the end of the sermon, he mentioned that there's this atheist who was trying to supposedly remove Christian television from the airwaves, right? That they were going to move it. And so he had a petition for people to sign that was going to be sent to some governmental organization saying, please, don't allow the atheists to remove, Christian television from the airwaves. Well, soon I had already heard this rumor going around within the Christian world, and come to find out, guess what? Okay. It was a fraud. It was a lie. It was a scam, but there it was behind a pulpit being promoted. Well, no. The church cannot fall for that. The church has to be the place that when we say something, we are 1000% accurate. When we're going to make commentary on current event or news or anything, we have to be accurate. I can remember growing up here in Texas, I moved away for the military, and then when I moved back to Texas, that's when I visited that church. But growing up here in Texas, during the 1980s, whoa, man, every church around here was having a rock music conference. The evils of rock and roll, the devil's music, Satan will get you. Right? And I would go to all of these conferences, not even a Christian. I would go and sit and laugh because you talk about completely misrepresenting lyrics, giving absolutely inaccurate and false information about the artist, about the lyrics, about the albums, just absolutely fraudulent information. And the people sitting in those pews were eating it up. And we wanted to go, you're liars. It's all fraudulent information. During Obama's presidency, Christians were all over the place in many cases. It was Christians spreading conspiracy theories and false information. When Sandy Hook, the horrible shooting that occurred, there were Christians who were spreading the conspiracy theory that was not a real shooting. How many Christians have been influenced by Alex Jones? All right, now we can get into a whole discussion there. Now, what I want to say is, now, it's one thing for Christians to be spreading some of that stuff, but when it enters into the church, and we even have to be fair, the individual Christian, with the outside world sees the individual Christian as representing Christianity. So as Christians, we have to be careful. We have to speak truth. We have to be accurate. If the world is lost in a fog and not knowing what to believe, and they don't believe anything anymore, the one place we would want them to be able to walk through the door and say, welcome to our church, we're going to speak the truth, with or without offense. Now, that's the thing about Christianity. If we're going to speak the truth, we're going to say things that sometimes are going to be offensive. Like, the Bible calls that a sin. The Bible condemns that. The Bible teaches that God is holy, and because he is holy, he hates sin and will judge sin and will pour his wrath upon sin, which means eternal separation, eternal damnation, and punishment in hell or lake of fire, depending on how you view those things, all right? We have to be honest and truthful with that. We also have to be honest and truthful when we're looking at a text of Scripture and there's a textual variant in the manuscript. Or we have to go, well, there's some struggles here about how to interpret this. Or, wow, this is kind of the way we typically view this, and this is how a large portion of Christianity would try to answer this passage. But there's some problems here, and being honest with the problems. But see, now what happens when you do that, then you get Christians who'll get mad at you and you're like, wait a minute, we should try to figure out the truth. I just think that we live in a culture where, in a roundabout way, they're saying, what is truth? We have a culture that, in many cases, they have denied absolute truth. All right, now you kind of watch this from now, I'm asking some hard questions for the Christian world, but let's look at it from let's look at it from a different perspective, all right? Let's step back here for a second. On one hand, it's kind of fascinating to what is happening in the secular culture. Because the secular culture kind of declared war on truth. They begin to embrace relativism, moral relativism and other forms of relativism, basically saying there is no absolute truth, which of course is self-contradicting, because if you say there's no absolute truth, then that statement would have to be true. Therefore, there would be an absolute truth. All right, so that's just ridiculous, but okay. All right, but they basically wanted a relativistic, your truth and my truth, and we both can be right, even though our truths contradict each other. Because, we're not going to have any one absolute transcendent truth. So they declared a war on truth. Right? And then all of a sudden everyone was like, fake news, fake news, fake news. We need to know what's true. Well, now wait a minute. Do you want truth back? So they declared a war on truth, and now they're reaping the consequences of declaring the war on truth. In a society where there is no truth, then nobody cares about truth, and anybody will do they'll say whatever they want for their own agenda. Right? That's why you have to defend the concept of truth. All right. So they kind of defended this, the secular world kind of created this problem. All right, let's just make this be very blunt here. The secular world created this problem, but here is where the church needs to come in. They may have declared a war on truth. Now they may be confused about, they don't know what to believe, and they don't know where truth can be found, and no one believes anything anymore. But there needs to be a place called the Christian church where we uphold truth. We proclaim truth. We teach truth. We try to be accurate in all that we say. We try to ensure that our information is correct. No one's going to be perfect. Okay, there's always going to be mistakes. But you know what happens when you make a mistake? You get up and you say, I had that information incorrect and I apologize. And if you need to, you remove the sermon from online, or you add and you re-preach it, acknowledging that the previous sermon was an error, and here is my correction. We have to be better at that. And while I was thinking about this, I pulled up some Bible verses here in regards to truth. I pulled up a couple just from the top of my head and wrote them down or typed them out here on my iPad. Just a couple of ones that just give you some idea. John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me. Jesus identifies himself as the truth. All right. So obviously we want to proclaim Jesus Christ, the eternal Son of God, who took upon human flesh. Second person of the Trinity, right? Triune God, one God, three distinct persons, co-equal, co-eternal. All right. Jesus Christ is truth. He is the way and the truth and the life. All right. Very important passage. John 16:13 says, howbeit when the Spirit of truth is come. Now, the Holy Spirit is associated with truth. God the Father, the whole Trinitarian God, is the God of truth. All right, God is true. John 17:17, Jesus speaking, saying, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. Jesus is associated with truth. The Spirit is associated with truth. God the Father is associated with truth. His word is true. Right? I think that's very important right there to consider. I've got a couple here. Well, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 14, talking about our spiritual armor, stand therefore having your loins girt about with truth. We need to even have truth as a part of our spiritual armor. All right? 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. The Bible is the word of truth, and we need to rightly divide it. We need to study it so we can handle it correctly. All right? Yeah, I think those are probably the main ones. I got a couple more here, but you get the idea. So here's what I want to do. And again, this is just some Monday night thoughts. This is just me sharing some thoughts. I had a completely different plan tonight, but I just wanted to at least bring this up. All right. Here's the thing. The New York Times reports that there's a growing sense amongst many people that they don't know what is true, they don't know what to believe, and they don't believe anything anymore, and they're questioning everything and they're doubting everything. And I, to be honest with you, when it comes to the media, I feel that. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Fox News. I don't want to watch CNN. I don't want to watch MSNBC because I feel they all have their own political agenda. I just want someone to give me facts, not an opinion. And I don't want them to twist those facts I don't want them to create a narrative and then twist the facts to fit their narrative. I think there is a growing sense of exhaustion and just being tired of it all, and people are tuning out. But there needs to be some place that they feel they can go to find truth. Christianity is a religion that's supposed to say we have a God of truth. He has given his word to us that is true. And we as Christians will do everything in our power to speak the truth. Yes, we will speak the truth, even if that offends. But we will do everything in our power that when we talk about issues that we will be, if we're going to speak the truth, we will be truthful. We will handle information correctly. And that we're not afraid to ask hard questions about what we believe. I pointed this out in a sermon, I believe, on Sunday night. And I've said this a million times in our church. So my people are used to it. People outside of my church, Christians who don't go to my church and hear me say something like this, they're like, oh, how dare you? But I will raise very hard questions about Christianity. For example, when horrible tragedy strikes, Christians sometimes will say, we will pray. And I understand that. We're called to pray without ceasing. We're called to pray. That's what we're called to do as Christians. Got no problem with that. But we have to at least stop and think about, from a truthful perspective, that it's kind of an odd thing, right? Because we are praying to the God, right? So horrible tragedy happens, and then I turn to the God and pray to that God to do something to help with the situation, but that God allowed the situation to happen in the first place. And depending on your theology, you would go beyond not just allowing it, he decreed it to happen. Because some theologies clearly teach that he decrees all things that come to pass. He either allowed it or he decreed it. And if he allowed it, then why am I going to ask him now to get involved in something that he allowed? Now, these are hard questions. Now, you see, that's just being truthful. Now, again, I don't try to do that to cause people to question or doubt. I'm just trying to be honest. Like all Christians should be prepared to answer that kind of question. That's a difficult subject. Obviously, God allowed it. He didn't do anything to stop it. God has intervened in history numerous times, right? Reading Genesis to the book of Revelation, you have God intervening at times, all right? Now, sometimes he could intervene in a way that we don't even see God really doing anything. It's just the event doesn't occur, so we don't even see it happen. But he can intervene even in a very supernatural way that we can even perceive that it's happening, almost in an invisible way. But whatever happens. God is sovereign. God is all-knowing. God is all-powerful. Basic attributes of God, right? Right? Omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, right? Basic attributes of God in any systematic theology. Well, when it comes into question sometimes, well, wait a minute, why did God allow this to happen? And so now you want me to pray to the God who allowed this to happen to me, right? Those are questions. We can't be afraid of those. We have to be honest and truthful that there's some things about Christianity that are hard to grasp and hard to wrap our minds around. I've pointed these things out before, that if you think about it, okay, you see, God created Satan as an angel, right? That angel rebels. Now, because he rebels, God could have destroyed him. God doesn't destroy him. He allows him to come to earth. Why does he allow him to come to earth? He allows him into the garden. Why? He knows that he's going to come to earth. He knows he's going to go into the garden, and he knows he's going to be the instrument to tempt Eve to partake of the fruit, which will then throw all of humanity into depravity, into sin, which will bring death and a curse upon everything. God knew it was going to happen, created the one he let the whole thing happen. Okay, those are questions. See, that's just being truthful. We have to be willing to be truthful with the difficult. But people should be able to come to a church knowing that we are willing to engage these difficulties in a truthful and honest way. There has to be a sense that the church is just not there to support their team. If the world feels like that all the church does is support their team, and it's you're just going to get the truth twisted to fit their narrative, and we're no better off than the news media and the world, then we're missing out on an opportunity to offer them something genuine, something real. And listen, pursuing truth and being honest with some things in the Bible that are hard to understand and make us uncomfortable, that shows them that we actually care about truth. It's been said by many, and I used to argue with sometimes lost people. Well, when I went to church when I was at a certain time in my life, and I would ask hard questions, and I was basically told not to ask such kind of questions because I wasn't having faith, and I was wrong to ask those kinds of questions. And I always kind of just felt that was stories people told because I could never believe that a church would do that. Now I'm not so sure because sometimes I do believe churches act that way. But if the world is lost in a fog and they don't know what to believe, church needs to be the beacon of truth, a place of truth. And that we can embrace difficult questions and embrace honest difficulties. The text sometimes presents us with difficulties that we cannot easily answer. When you take the idea that God is sovereign, God is all-knowing, and God is all-powerful, that raises difficult questions about why he does certain things. Now, sometimes the answer is he's God and he can do whatever he wants, and if we don't like it, that's not up to us. Our only option would be go create our own universe and set up our own rules, which we cannot do. The fact is, once you accept that there is a God, you have to accept that he can run the universe according to his rules. All right. And then we just try to understand that. Right. So sometimes the answers aren't satisfying, but at least we have to be willing to deal with those kinds of questions. So really, I'm going in a couple of directions tonight. I guess the main thing, and I'll end with this question. And this is to all Christians, all pastors, all Sunday school teachers, all church members. Is the church doing a far better job than the news media that cannot be trusted anymore and the world where no one knows what to believe anymore? Can people walk into a church and feel like I'm going to hear the truth, even if it's going to offend me? They're going to pursue truth. They're going to ask difficult questions, and I can ask all the questions I want. There is a pursuit of truth when I walk through that through that door. Or do they feel when they walk through the door, they're simply going to get a company line, and that these people are pursuing an agenda more than they're pursuing truth? Is the church seen as an institution of truth pursuing, or is the church seen as something else? I mean, I have tried my best to make my church understand truth above all else. Truth above all else. Truth, 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 truth. Pursue truth. Something to think about. Something to think about. It's just an interesting contrast. An interesting contrast. And again, I'll go back to the article again. No one believes anything. Voters worn out by a fog of political news. And this volatile political moment, information, it would seem, has never been more crucial. The country is in the midst of an impeachment proceeding against a president for the third time in modern history. A high-stakes election is less than a year away. But just when information is needed most, to many Americans, it feels almost elusive. The rise of social media, the proliferation of information online, including news designed to deceive, and a flood of partisan news are leading to a general exhaustion with news itself. And it talks about many people are numb and disoriented, struggling to discern what is real, and a sea of slant, fake, and fact. We have people who are listening. Listen, I want you to hear this carefully. We have people in this world who are struggling to discern what is real in a sea of slant, fake, and fact. The church has to be the place where no slant, no fake, fact. Come here, pursue truth. We will help you in that journey because we are pursuing truth. We want facts. In a world where they've lost touch with reality, they're almost, in some cases, a war on reality. I've talked about that in previous episodes. A war on truth. A society that has declared a war on truth, a war on reality. We have to be the place going, no, here is truth. God is the God of truth. His word is truth. Study to show yourself approved so that you can rightly divide the word of truth. You can know truth. Here is truth you can build your life on. Here's truth that can be the rock that you can stand on. Here's the truth that will help you out of that fog, out of that confusion, out of that sea of slant and of fake and of fact. We will just do our best to give you truth and factual information. Factual information when we speak of church history. Factual information when we deal with a text of Scripture, and we're just going to be honest with you going, you know what? Don't know what to do with this. I've said that many sermons. I don't know what to do with this. We have to be willing to do that kind of thing. I think there's a very important principle here. I could have fleshed this out a whole lot better. I know that. But as soon as I saw this, I wanted to just go live and share it. I'm still processing it, but it's something we definitely, I think, Christians need to be challenged by. All right, I'll stop right there. Thank you for listening to this live broadcast on this Monday evening, November the 18th, 2019. I appreciate you listening. For those who are Christians, for those who go to church, just let's be truth pursuers. Let's speak truth. Let's pursue truth. Let's invite people into the journey to find truth. And let's try to do our best to present truth to a world that I think truth is going to become a commodity of great value. I think truth is going to become a commodity of great value. It's going to become more valuable than anything else because people can't find it. There's people who even deny it exists. We can't back all away from that. The one thing we can offer the culture is truth. They don't need fun, food, and friendship and activities. They need truth. Something to consider. And well, I will await your feedback. I know I probably offended who knows how many people, but you can email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. When I was young, I read the newspaper every day, the Abilene Reporter News growing up, and used to, when you got a copy of the Abilene Reporter News, right there at the top, they had a quote. It went something like this: "We will tell of the world, with or without offense to friend or foe, with or without offense to friend or foe, we will tell of the world exactly as it goes. With or without offense to friend or foe, we will tell of the world exactly as it goes." Paraphrase: we're going to give you the truth, whether it offends you or if it doesn't offend you. But we're going to tell you the truth about what is going on in the world, with or without offense. And Christianity must be willing to speak the truth with or without offense, because the truth is becoming a valuable commodity in a world that has lost the plot and no longer knows what truth is. That is something the church needs to really think long and hard about. All right, everyone have a great night. God bless.